This is Carrie and Summer with the Say My Name podcast that gives a voice to women's stories. It's my story, it's your story, it's our stories of pain and healing.
Betrayal doesn't begin to describe the knife that I pull out of my side. So I'ma put the past behind me, 'cause I got strength inside me, and a strength that I wanna share with you.
This is episode 1 on the Say My Name podcast. This is Kari Whipkey's story. This woman is incredible. She has suffered through childhood sexual abuse, bulimia, anorexia, divorce, the loss of a child, and building a business from the ground up. Her story of healing will bring you to tears. I have the opportunity to interview Kari, and we can talk about the founders of the Say My Name podcast, our own stories, because they're so meaningful and powerful, and that's what inspired us to start this podcast in the first place. Welcome to the Say My Name Project podcast.
Recently, I've actually talked about how I was molested. And so I think it kind of starts with that. So I think I'll start with that one. I was molested from age 4 till 12. But I say age 4 because that's the earliest that I remember. And the reason why I remember it is because the specific situation that happened, I realized as a 4-year-old that it was something that was bad. So it could have been going on before that, but I didn't realize that it was bad until my parents drew attention to it, that it was something that was not supposed to be happening. From age 4 to 12, I was molested. In that time, I decided in my subconscious mind that I am not worthy, and that I'm bad, and that I am only worthy of certain things, that I'm just overall just a bad person because of the religion that I grew up in, which was Mormon or Latter-day Saint. And there's a lot of rules around sexuality and what you can and cannot do. Honestly, it could have been any religion. There's a lot of religions that have kind of some rules, some rigid rules around what you can and cannot do sexually. So not to bash on that church, but that was just some of their rules around it. So being somebody who is more of a perfectionist personality, having those rules around that made me feel like I was an extremely bad person. Even though what was happening to me was not my fault. But at that time I felt like it was. Up until I was 40 years old, I thought it was my fault. Going all of my life from 4 years old until 40, feeling like I am a bad person. Like, imagine the amount of guilt that I had, and the shame, and all of those negative emotions that I had towards myself because of that experience, just building up. I know that being in a certain religion did affect my feeling of worthiness and guilt towards what was done to me.
So why did you feel like it was your fault?
I kind of don't want to say it. But I'm going to, because my brother was handicapped. So I felt like because I was somebody who had
All your capacities?
Yeah.
All of your,
I felt like it was my responsibility to say no.
Even though you were so much younger than him, and he was the one that did it to you. So you were a baby.
Yeah, and it hit me about a year ago. And so to look back on my children at 4 years old and to put myself in that place of, you were only 4 years old. You had no idea what was going on, what somebody was doing to you. So it really just changed my whole perception of how I felt of what my responsibility was in that.
Even as a 12-year-old, you're still a child, and you don't have any responsibility in that. Even as a 12-year-old. I have a 12-year-old. And if someone older tried to do something and she thought that's what she was supposed to do, I mean, she would feel confused. and she wouldn't understand. And so there's no responsibility there. I mean, this is something that someone did to you. It's not something that you consented to. Consent is after you're 18, not when you're 12.
Shit, I feel like I'm having counseling right now.
And certainly not. My heart is breaking for you and goes out to you because I can see and understand and feel your struggle. But you have to know that there's no consent. You're a baby. And children don't have consent.
Wow, this is so, this is amazing. This is like a whole nother layer. I love to use the analogy of an onion when I talk about our healing. Like, there's constant layers that we peel away that just bring us closer to our healing. I've gone through this year where I finally decided, like, I am going to face this. I'm going to go through this healing. And I've been through so many layers, and I feel like right now I'm going through another layer right now. It's beautiful. I appreciate this. By 12, it was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm standing up for myself. I'm stopping this. And once I made that decision, where it's like, this doesn't feel good. This makes me feel bad. That's when it stopped. It stopped, but it didn't go away. Not talking about it didn't go away. Mm-hmm. Even when my mom and my sister brought it up years later, this was back when I was married and had a couple of kids, and it was brought up that this had happened to me, and what do we do about this? Do you need counseling? I, at that time, was very thick into my eating disorder. It was like, I couldn't even handle one more thing. Mm-hmm. So it was like, at that time, I thought, no, I'm good. There's nothing. I'm fine. That's water under the bridge. I don't want to talk about it. It's a little awkward, but I'm fine. That's not something that bothers me at all. And I genuinely believed it. I did not think that it was a big deal to me until I had gotten to a space where I was able to do a lot of healing and open up and be able to face some of my wounds. Did I realize that it had never been addressed? I was all about just stuff it. And genuinely thought it was not a big deal, that it wasn't affecting me. But yet, I ended up cheating on my husband. I ended up getting in relationship after relationship of just toxic, where men were not treating me well. Men were not treating me like I deserved to be treated. I now see that I didn't feel worthy to have interactions with men where they treated me with respect. Subconsciously,
You're back in that place.
Right. That I'm worried about being forced to do something, so it would be better, my subconscious mind thinks that it would be better to consent to something that you don't want to do rather than being forced to do it. That you're not worthy of somebody that treats you with respect, so of course you're going to be interacting with this person because you're a bad person. So that's been the story of my life over the last 40 years, up until just recently that I've realized no more. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And there's women that will do it their entire life.
And not
So I'm thankful at least
why.
I figured it out at 40 years old.
Yeah.
I thought of myself as a very sexual person and just loved boys. But I don't know if I really did.
Yeah.
I don't know if possibly I was just wanting fucking acceptance.
Yeah.
I saw it as a weakness, that I was bad. I was a bad girl. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I saw myself as evil. I saw myself as dirty. I saw myself as a bad person for being a sexual person. Didn't know what to do with that because of the religion that I was raised in. It was like you couldn't feel anything sexual until you were married. So to have any of those emotions or any of those sensations was that was of the devil, and you were a bad person for feeling those things. So it was just this constant battle of I should be this, but I feel this. And I didn't know what to do with that. So my worthiness was at like an all-time low pretty much my entire life.
So when you were 19, then you
I
kind of
got
got
married.
confirmed.
And I was pregnant.
You got pregnant out of wedlock. So that probably confirmed all your suspicions about yourself. Like, I'm a bad person because now I'm pregnant and I'm not married.
Yeah, that was intense because I thought my parents were going to disown me, and I was very prepared for that when I went to them and told them that I was pregnant and I was going to marry the man that got me pregnant. My parents were amazing. They did not do what I expected, and they absolutely loved me and accepted me for all that I was, and they didn't have judgment towards me, and that was beautiful. I was completely and totally shocked by that. I honor them now, being a parent of a 19-year-old, almost 19-year-old. That would be extremely hard to hear your daughter come to you, especially in the religion that they were in. That was completely and totally against something like that happening. That the way that they handled it was so beautiful, and I just have a lot of love for them for the way that they treated me for that. But I felt like I had something to prove, so we married, and my baby ended up passing away after 7 days.
Tell me about that.
It was fucking hard. I was like a little girl. There's part of me that felt like it was like punishment for what I did, which I now know is silly.
Not silly. I mean, those were valid feelings.
Yeah. But I wanted to
But
prove.
incorrect feelings.
I wanted to
Not right.
prove to everybody that I didn't fuck up.
Yeah.
My husband and I stayed married, and I think he's just an amazing person. But we were little kids. We shouldn't have gotten married. We stayed married for 14 years, had 3 more kids after that, after Ammon, my baby that passed away. It was hard. It was super hard. It was my will to prove people wrong, that I didn't fuck up, that I didn't make a mistake. And so we got pregnant pretty quickly after I had Ems. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is hard. What did I do? I don't know if I want to do this. But in the religion that we're in, it's like your responsibility is to multiply and replenish. Like, that's what you do as a woman. You multiply and replenish, and you stay in the home, and you take care of these babies, and you cook and you clean, and that's what your responsibility is. And I just didn't enjoy it. And I had a lot of guilt around that, of like, I'm not enjoying this whole motherhood thing. And I continued to have more babies, because it's like, that's the answer. Oh, you're not happy? Have more babies. So I had 2 more, my 2 boys, and I absolutely love and adore my children. But there was a time where I just hated my life. I felt like I was forced to live the life that I was in. I was forced to marry the husband that I was with. I was forced to have the children that I had. And I had so much resentment towards what I felt like was control over my life. Like, I did not feel like I had a choice in my life. And now, with the perspective that I have, I know I absolutely had a choice. I chose to give that choice away and give it to other people. But I absolutely had a choice that was just the perfect storm for an eating disorder. After my last baby, very quickly after I had him, because we knew he was the last, he was our number 4, and we knew we were done, I was like, okay, I can start focusing on myself and my body and taking care of it, because I don't have to worry about, having another baby. I really became very obsessive with exercising and getting my body to a certain size. And that became my addiction. I was addicted to the scale. I was addicted to getting my body smaller and smaller and smaller. And having been somebody who felt like I did not have any control of my life, that felt amazing to have something to have control over. It got to a point where I was anorexic. I did not realize it, but I was loving the restricting and the restricting. I loved having that control over how much I ate or how little I ate and how much I worked out. And the more I worked out, I felt I loved it. It was a drug. Got to a point where I was working out 6 hours a day and I was eating as low as 500 calories. And 6 hours a day, meaning like insane, extensive boot camp style training. It wasn't just like yoga, which I absolutely love yoga now, but it was intense workouts, 6 hours a day. So I can't imagine the calorie burn that I was doing at that time, only eating less than 500 calories. I thought I was fat. I remember throughout the day, all day long, pinching my skin and just pinching and feeling like, oh, there's still some fat there, which really, now thinking back, it was just skin that I was feeling. So I still was not good enough. I still needed more control. I still needed to be more strict with it. I was never satisfied with where I was at. And I had quite a few friends that were very concerned with the way that I was looking and voiced it to me. And I have so much appreciation for them for that bravery of standing up to me and saying something to me. But it pissed me off. I just thought, fuck you. You're just jealous. I remember thinking that. And now thinking back, it's like, oh my God, no, they were not jealous. They were like just so insanely like worried for my well-being.
Your health and your safety.
Absolutely. But in my mindset, they were jealous that I was skinny and they weren't. They were healthy. Like they were like amazing. They had like beautiful, amazing bodies, but I had such a warped outlook on it all that I didn't see what they were doing. Mm-hmm. But it did do something to me to the point where I thought, okay, well, maybe I can add some foods in. And so I started kind of eating a few foods that I had deemed as no-nos and absolutely don't eat. And my body was like, hell yes. So it couldn't stop eating it. Mm. And there was that panic of, oh my God, I can't stop eating. I'd gone from eating under 500 calories to eating probably a normal amount of calories. I don't know where I was at, but at that time I thought it was like, insane amount of calories. Mm-hmm. And it freaked me out.
It felt like it was way too many. I was
freaking out. So I got to a point of just complete total panic because I couldn't get myself to restrict back to less than 500 calories a day anymore. My body just would not allow me to do it. So I became so desperate that I started putting my fingers down my throat. And it took a couple of times. And then all of a sudden, I was able to bring something up. And there was just this ultimate release of, yes, okay, like, this is what we're going to do now. I am bulimic. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time going, no. I don't do this. This is what other girls do. Mm-hmm. This is girls that are sick. I'm not sick. So it was this battle of, this isn't me, and then realizing, no, this is what you're fucking doing. I stayed in that for a while of just living in that hell of not telling. Nobody knew. My husband at the time worked from home and had no idea the binging and purging that I was doing every single day. And there was a day where I had binged and purged. I had made cookie dough, and binged and purged on it. And I had gotten really good at like cleaning it all up. Mm-hmm. And there was a day where I didn't clean it up. And he made a comment saying, hey, did you make cookies today? I thought, oh my God, he knows. He knows I'm binging and purging. He had no idea. But he was just making an innocent comment like, oh. And I went to the assumption that he knows now that I'm doing this. And that night, I thought, I have to tell him. Like, he knows, so now I need to tell him. And I had so much shame around it that I had to wait until he came into the room in the pitch black. I could not look into his eyes. I could not see his face because I didn't want to see the disappointment in his face. So I had to do it in the dark. And I told him, like, I need help. I think I have a problem.
That takes so much courage.
It was so hard. And he was so amazing about it. He had no judgment. He had no idea, actually. But I was so thankful for that moment. I know that happened for a reason because I did need help. And at that point, and from then on, I started going to counseling. I went to eating disorder clinics, and a lot of those things didn't really help. One of the counselors that I went to very beginning really did. She did some good stuff. But overall, the eating disorder clinics, they just kind of kept me in it. And so there's a lot of years of just kind of feeling like I'm broken. I'm always going to be broken. Just that feeling of like hopelessness of like, fuck, this is going to be me forever. I'm never going to overcome this. This is going to be every day and fight a battle. But there was something deep within me that thought, fuck no, you can heal from this. But it was so faint because everything else was so, like screaming at me that you are sick, you have an illness, you have a disease, and you're never going to heal from this. It was hard to like listen to that voice of no, yes, you can, because everything else was telling me no, you can't. And so when I would go to eating disorder clinics, when I go to therapists that weren't really like resonating with me well, I just wouldn't stay very long because I was like, nope, this isn't it. This is not my people. This just doesn't feel right to me. I feel like there's something more. Like I do feel like there's something that like it's going to help me heal from this. I mean, that was 8 years that I was in and out of eating disorders and anorexia, bulimia, binge eating, exercise addiction. There was just cycles of all of those throughout the 8 years. Some of them all at once, some of them just one at a time. Binge eating and exercise addiction were my two drugs of choice. Like those were my two my go-tos. I could move away from anorexia and bulimia if I put my mind to it, but the other two were just so hard to move away from.
I love that you said your drug of choice.
Yeah.
Because it is an addiction. It's an addiction because you're trying to cope and it feels like you can survive another day. And you're addicted to that survival.
Just like an alcoholic. And I actually, at some point, there was definitely where it was like, I am not thankful for this challenge in my life at all. Like, fuck you, eating disorder. Yeah. Like, fuck you, Ed. But at this point that I'm in right now, I am absolutely 100% thankful because it keeps me on point with how I feel about my body and how my relationship with food. So I see it as now a blessing in disguise. That took me many years to get to that point, though. I did 2 bikini competitions, so it's like bodybuilding shows. And after my second one, that was my rock bottom. I worked my ass off for that show. And I was so insecure. I wouldn't even take my robe off until I had to get onto the stage. And my body was fucking rock solid. But I was so insecure. And I had been popping tons of diuretics, laxatives, Clen, T3, extreme diet pills. Like I was to handfuls of pills to try to help me to lose weight for this show. And
like hydroxycut and all that stuff.
Oh no. Like it's not over the counter. Like it's not something you have to like get it through a drug dealer. You don't get this stuff over the counter. I was probably the most unhealthy I've ever been. But on the outside, I looked fucking shredded. Like people thought I was the most healthy I've ever been. The day of the show, couldn't even stand up by myself. I had to hold onto walls because I thought I was going to pass out from so much extreme dehydration and all the pills and laxatives and that I was taking. I should have probably been checked into a hospital on that day. And so I did that show. Of course, I was trying to wean off of all the pills that I was taking. You're going to have some adverse effects while you're trying to wean off. And I gained 30 pounds in probably about 2 weeks. I was in the ultimate depression that I've ever had. And I've had multiple levels of depression to the point where I felt like I wanted to commit suicide. But this was like a whole different level. I couldn't wake up to alarms. I had multiple alarms set throughout my rooms, my bathroom, my bedroom, all the way across the room. And I was waking up to multiple alarms going off throughout my room, plus my phone ringing to my clients saying, "Where are you?" It was at that point and that was about probably 8 years into anorexia, bulimia, exercise addiction, orthorexia, which orthorexia is obsession of clean eating, which is kind of a newer eating disorder, but it's fucking real. And there's some people that have some real extreme addictions to that. You name it, I've done it and experienced it. But it was at that point that I realized, what the fuck are you doing? You've gone from a size 0 to a size 16, from a size 16 to a 0 over and over again over these 8 years. And not once have you been happy. You've actually been more unhappy at the smaller sizes. Like, this is not working. What you're doing is not working. I decided, you know what? Why don't we, instead of focusing on the outside, maybe it's the inside that I need to work on. And by setting out that question, that intention, it basically like just aligned everything in the universe to start like flooding me with the information of how to actually heal myself and how to actually find that love for myself that I'd been searching for my entire life. But I hadn't been asking the right questions. I was always asking, like, how do I fix my body? How do I change my body? I need to get skinnier. I need to get skinnier. That was always my primary focus. And that's what I was getting, but I was never getting what I actually wanted. What I really wanted was to be happy. I wanted to love myself. And so when I shifted that intention where okay, how do I really love myself? What do I need to do? Do I need to do something internally? All of a sudden, things were just placed in my path, like books, people, experiences, podcasts, interviews of people that were talking about like how important it is to work on the internal, to work on the inside. And it was just like this light bulb just opened up of, oh my God, I've been doing this all backwards. It doesn't work from the outside in, it works from the inside out. And that's where the shift was. At that moment, at my ultimate rock bottom. My little sister had told me she had come to visit, and I was prepping for that show, and she saw the extreme things that I was doing. And she called me when she went home. She had come to visit in California, and she went back home. And when she called me up, she said, "I think you need help. I've talked to mom and dad, and they're okay with you they will pay for you to go to an eating disorder while your kids are with their dad over the summer."
Like a clinic or
yeah,
recovery
like an eating
center.
disorder, like group home type of a thing. Oh my God, the anger that I had with her I was so angry with her because I wasn't making myself throw up at that time. I was popping pills, I was doing extreme exercise, I was doing extreme diet restriction, but I wasn't making myself throw up. So in my mind, I thought,
yeah, you're getting better.
I don't have an eating disorder.
Yeah.
I'm good. I should have gone to an eating disorder home back when I was making myself throw up. Now I'm good. So, but her being bold enough to stand up to me and to tell me, you need help, you are sick, and she was the only person that did that. So many people saw me. They saw my patterns. They saw what I was doing, and they didn't say anything. But she was the only person brave enough to stand up to me, and I was angry. I was angry that she would accuse me of being somebody that needs help at this point in my life, because it's like, fuck you. How dare you? I've worked so hard to get to where I'm at. Like, you have no idea, like, where I was before. Like, I'm in a good place right now. But I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let go of the fact that she thought that I had a problem still. because of her standing up to me, that sparked something in me of maybe I do still have a problem. So to this day, I'm extremely thankful that she was bold enough to stand up to me and tell me that. Because I don't know where I would be now. I'm so fucking stubborn. I needed somebody to ruffle my feathers. I needed somebody to fucking piss me off. To see, to like kind of look inwards and go, fuck, maybe they're right. I don't know. I think eventually I would have gotten it, but I don't know. Maybe not yet. Maybe I would still be in it if she wouldn't have stand up to me. So I'm extremely thankful for her because nobody else did. Once I made that decision to focus on inward instead of outward, that I needed to work on my feelings and feeling things. And I didn't know how to feel anything. I had no idea how to. I got so good at numbing myself and using food and using any type of way, exercise, to try to avoid any kind of uncomfortable feeling that I had no idea how to feel sad, how to feel mad, how to feel happy. I didn't know how to feel anything. I was just like this numb zombie that just binged and exercised a lot. I specifically remember sitting on my bed after doing a whole day of work. And I am a personal trainer, so I have people coming in and out of my gym all day long, talking about experiences and stories. And I got really good at numbing myself because I couldn't handle anything that felt like too heavy for me. So I got really good at just numbing. And I remember a point when I was trying to feel emotions again, and I was sitting on my bed and I wanted to binge. I wanted to go downstairs and binge. So binged, like, people will throw that word around pretty loosely. Like, oh, I binged last night. I'll even ask my clients, well, what did you binge on? Oh, I had 3 cookies. No. That's not a binge. You just splurged on a couple of extra cookies. A binge is 8,000 to 10,000 calories in one sitting. Like, a lot of fucking food. Binge is intense.
It's a dozen donuts.
It's a whole gallon of ice cream or 2. And then sushi. And then nachos. And then a whole thing of Oreos. And then
until you're uncomfortable. You're so uncomfortable.
Your stomach is distended and you are hurting physically, really, literally physically hurting from the amount of food that you have in your stomach. I would binge, and that was my way of numbing out. I remember sitting on my bed and I wanted to binge desperately. I was done training clients and I was sitting there going, I want to binge. I want to fucking eat until I feel disgusting, sick, and then I'll go to sleep and then I'll feel horrible the next morning. But that's just what I do. It's what feels familiar and safe to me. And I was sitting there thinking, why do you want to binge? What are you trying to hide from? Because at that point I realized you're not wanting to face something. So let's figure out, what is it? And I remember thinking, I have no idea. Wow, you've gotten so good at numbing your emotions that you have no idea what happened today. No idea. There was no way that I could figure out what somebody did or said or what I experienced, what I saw. It was that moment that I realized, oh my God, you have gotten so good at this. Wow. Okay. I'm going to let you binge right now because that's all you know what to do. But we're going to start listening. We're going to start being more aware of what happens throughout the day. Because we don't want to do this anymore. This isn't serving you anymore. It was like this like dialect between like the broken Kari and the one that wants to heal.
It's like you and your higher self.
Yes.
I love how you're using like we and let's and like.
Yeah. It was like 2 different people. Like I was going crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was like, okay, I want to binge. Why do you want to binge? I don't know. I just want to stuff myself with food. Well, why do you want to stuff yourself? I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I hate you.
Fine. I'll let you
hate you right now.
Time.
Okay,
but
fine.
next time you're not.
It was, yeah, it felt like I was like going crazy, but that was my only way to do it, was knowing, like having that conversation with this, like this poor little, like just broken, fragile Kari, and the one that's like, no, I got you. Like we're gonna work on this. I don't care how bad you want to run away from this and not face it. Like this isn't working at all. You throwing up in a plastic Tupperware every single day and then dumping it in the toilet is not serving you anymore. We're done with that. We're not doing that anymore. It was that. That was the start. And then just being in the space of, okay, we're going to start paying more attention. Then all of a sudden the next day or a week later, I was like, oh, so-and-so said this and it hurt my feelings. And so then I started like actually seeing what maybe hurt my feelings, or what made me feel angry, what made me feel sad, what made me feel insecure. It wasn't like all of a sudden I just stopped binging, but at least now I'm starting to be aware of why I'm binging. That was the next step. Then it was like, okay, what do we do to not binge anymore? What's some other ways? What's some other things that we can do to face these emotions? What can we do what are some other options instead of binging? And that took a while. It didn't just happen overnight.
So what were some of those other options?
Sit with it. I would sit with it and feel it. Like if somebody hurt my feelings, I would let myself and allow myself to feel sad, to feel hurt. And being somebody, because I'm an empath, so I feel extreme emotions. I feel other people's emotions. I feel my emotions. So that's like a lot. That was scary, to allow myself to feel sadness, to feel anger. I'm like just barely starting to let myself feel anger, actually. And it's been, 4 years since I've been binge free. I have not binged at all. And I'm just starting to, like, sadness, yeah, I got it. I can feel sadness. But anger has just been recently that I'm like, ooh, wow.
Scary.
I have some issues around anger right here. So there's like a lot of layers to all of this. But definitely sadness was one that, like, I was fucking scared to feel. I did not want to feel sadness. I didn't want to feel hurt. I didn't want to feel abandoned. I didn't want to feel judgment. I didn't want to feel any of those feelings. So to sit with those was super scary. But all it took was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And I was like, oh, I didn't die. I didn't like explode into like nothingness. Wow, I'm okay. I felt that emotion. It moved through me and I'm good. Wow. And I didn't go
feel good.
to food.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Wow. Like it really just took that one time and then doing it again and again. That was like, oh, this works. This actually works. Sitting with it. Sitting with the emotion. It's not as scary as I thought it would be. That was it. Being with my emotions and allowing myself to feel it. Well, first of all, just recognizing what emotion I'm feeling. Like that was just like a feat within itself, because I got so good at numbing out all emotions. I didn't even know, what am I trying to numb from? I know I'm numbing myself, but I don't even know what I'm trying to numb myself from. Am I mad at somebody? Am I sad? Am I angry? Am I scared? Do I have fear? I had no idea. So just getting to the point of, oh, I feel fear. That right there was just a step. But then it's like, okay, I feel fear. Am I going to allow myself to feel it? That right there was what stopped the binging.
Wow. So what advice would you give someone that is in that cycle right now, that's afraid to feel their emotions, that's afraid to stop that pattern because feeling things sucks in their mind right now?
Just try it one time. If you just tell yourself, okay, just today. I don't have to do it tomorrow. I don't have to do it next week. Today, I'm going to just I'm just going to try it out. I'm just going to see what it feels like. If it's too bad, okay, that's fine. I tried it. But I guarantee you, if you let yourself feel that fear, if you let yourself feel that sadness, it's not as bad as you thought. And it feels amazing when you let it move through you.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so good to just feel it, sit with it, like really sit with it, like be fucking sad. Like you're crying and you're like your shoulders are like shaking because like there's so much sadness and tears and like energy that's moving through you. Like let yourself like really feel it, not just like, oh yeah, I felt sad. Okay. No, like fucking sit with it. 5 minutes. 1 minute. Okay, not even 5 minutes. 1 minute. Sit with it. And I guarantee you, you will feel so much better. And just that moment will make you realize, okay, if I can take 1 minute, I can do 2 minutes. I can do 3 minutes. I can take fear. I can take anger. And it's just gonna add on to it. Just that realization that you are fucking stronger than you think. And you can handle it. It's okay.
So what are the things that you've been able to achieve because you've been able to feel those feelings? Where are you now because of what you've been able to do?
The relationships that I have with people are at a completely different level. More important than that is the relationship that I have with myself. How I feel when I'm alone, when I'm completely by myself. Like how I felt before when I had my eating disorder it was fucking hell. Like I was never happy. I hated myself. I always had horrible thoughts and things that I was trying to escape. It was hell. I wanted to commit suicide. I didn't want to be alone. I needed distractions. I needed things around me to so I wasn't alone. And now I absolutely love being by myself. Think of all the things that I've done in my life, all the things that I've accomplished, and I have so much just love for myself, for everything that I've gone through. And that's like, fuck, shit. Like, that's a lot. Like, I'm fucking proud of you. Like, so much love for myself, for everything that I've been able to push through and work through. I just have absolute and humble pride for all the obstacles that I've gone through, through the sexual trauma, through the divorce, through the eating disorder, through the loss of my child, through just dealing with being a single mom and struggling with building up a business. There's so many things that I have gone through and done that I have so much pride for, that I've gone through when I was in my eating disorder, but I couldn't see that I was such a badass. But now, how I feel about myself, I'm just like, hell yeah, you can accomplish anything. But with being open and being vulnerable, my relationships that I have with people have just grown insanely because they feel comfortable with me. They feel safe with me. They feel like they can be themselves. They don't feel judgment because there is no judgment. I have no judgment for people. I have absolute love and compassion. And so because of all those things that I went through, that's why I have that compassion. So I have so much gratitude for what I've gone through, because I know that whatever somebody's going through, fuck, that's a fucking battle. You can do this. There's a reason why you're going through this, and it's going to make you stronger. It's just your choice if you want to make it stronger, if you want it to bring you down. So my outlook on how I see people, how I perceive people, how I perceive what their choices are is completely different. That not a lot of people see it the way that I see it. So there's no judgment there. How I go about my business and my life and my family, I'm all about just taking a risk, pushing past what society thinks is how you should be, because I'm no, there's no limit. I can do anything. If I can overcome a fucking eating disorder, I can do anything. I see no limitations on my life now. Because it's if I can get over that, I can get over anything. I can do anything. So I see it as a complete blessing in my life now. 8 years ago? Hell no. I was praying to the God that I believed in at that time, like, please fucking take this away. I cannot do this. I don't know how to live. I don't know how to do this. And I wanted to kill myself at that time. I did not see a way out of it. Now, 8 years later, I see that experience as my ultimate blessing, because what that brought to me and all the value, all the experiences, all the trials and pain that it brought me has brought me to the clarity that I have now and the strength that I have now. So I have so much gratitude and respect and sacredness, like thoughts and feelings towards all of that I've been through.
And you reach so many people. You reach so many people. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people you reach just every day. Just being you, doing the thing that you do in your gym.
Do me.
You do you. And people are, their souls are being reborn just by interacting with you. Like, you are a fucking gift. Serious.
Oh, you make me feel good.
You are amazing. You are a gift. And you have impacted like hundreds, probably thousands, and potentially in millions of lives. I'm serious.
There's, like we talked about in your podcast, I absolutely believe there is purpose in my pain. Mm-hmm. And every single tear that I have shed, every single complete and ultimate sadness that I have felt, there was purpose to every single second of it. 100%. I could not see that when I was in the thick of it. The advice that I would want to give is just trust that there is a purpose to what you're going through right now. Just trust that there's something, there is a reason why you're going through this. And just hold on to any ounce of hope that you can to help you pull you out of it. Because if you can do that, you will absolutely 100%. I know you, Summer, can back me up on this, that there is a reason why you're going through what you're going through. And that if you ask the right questions and you put out the right vibration, which is, I really want to just love myself and I want to heal, you will see light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you will eventually, at some point, it might be months, years down the road, you will see that there was purpose to what you went through.
So how do you want to change the world, Kari?
I absolutely love, like, get fucking high off of seeing a woman light up, like her eyes just like sparkle with aha moments of that feeling of clarity and hope and excitement and that feeling of, I can do this. Like, I get it. Now I understand. Just those moments of being able to see that in someone's eyes and being able to see them like start making steps to being able to love themselves and love their lives. That's everything to me. And all, like, only one person, then I'm done. Like, I'm good. But I know it's going to happen to millions. When I have that moment with my clients, when I can see that they see like hope, that they can see that there's a chance of being able to get out of their pain, that's it. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like, because I know that, like, it's not just affecting her. It's affecting her kids. It's affecting her husband. It's affecting her friends. It's affecting her mom, her sisters.
And you do that every day. You see it every day.
That shit like lights me up. I love that. Love giving hope. That's it. Hope. If you just have hope, you're done. Like, you're good. Just a little bit of hope.
I'm so blessed and honored and amazed at the opportunity that I've been given to be a co-conspirator in your life. And it has been so amazing and fantastic. And I cannot wait for the next chapters of our life because it is going to be amazing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your story and for sharing your pain and your progress and your healing with all of the women that are going to be reached through our podcast.
Amazing.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
Cheers.
Cheers.